Yes, so War Machine. This, people, is the brand new film from Patrick Hughes, who co wrote it with James Beaufort. It is produced by Alexander Young, Todd Lieberman, Rich Cook, and Patrick Hughes. It is co-produced by Naomi Cleaver, along with Nick Saturano. We've got executive production from Greg McLean, Valerie Belef Sharp, and Alan Ritchson, with line production from Melanie Turner. Dmitry Golovoko handled the score. We have Aaron Moulton on cinematography. Andy Canny edits the piece. Right? Diana Brigidi, Andrea Bunker, and Amanda Mitchell took care of casting. Right, so production design, we have Enzo Icano, Adrian Dalton, Tony Drew, Michael Rumpf, Kate Saunders are down with art direction. Set decoration is Emma Rudkin. Right, we got Cappy Island on costume design. Hair and makeup is Michael Baskalakakis, Isabel Bokeman, Tara Brawley, Rebecca Burato, Cassie Campbell, Emily Casey, maybe, Mark Cipollone, Meg Coleman, Kate Crisp, Julian Dimas, Jamie Donnelly, Tresson Fernandez, Tony Fafrench, Dion Gregory, Emily Keeley Heitzman, Eliza Langdon, Susie Lee, Tasha Lees, Deborah Lester, and Alessandro Lecul, Amelia Lucas, Helen Magalakis, Matt McMillan, Carly Morse, Elena Tamika Nurakina, Nellie Pandis, Kelesi Parsons, Brooke Pearson, Selma Pertzel, Melanie Quigg, Jacqueline Robertson Cole, Nicole Shipaliti, Nadia Semanik, Lizzie Sharp, Tanika Smith, Zelka Stanin, Megan Tiltman, Shiara Tripodi, Larry Van Doinhove, Ashley Vieira, Erica Wells, Edward Yates, and Ricky Zuka. So that's all prosthetics, hair, like molds, all of that jazz, as well as hair and, makeup, right? So, in an action film like this, there's a whole ton of stunts, people, right? And taking care of those, we've got Lee Adamson, Bryony Ackhurst, Jade Amamanti, Stephanie Amamanti, Cameron Brown, Heather Burridge, Marky Lee Campbell, Matthew Campbell, Oscar Capp, Michael M. Foster, Toby Fuller, Rian Goodidge, Chan Griffin, Sarah Houston, John Ills, Graham Jahan, Orlando Jordan, Elliot Joseph, Jay Keeley, Chris Kemp, James Kershaw, Stephen Kim, Alex Kozaliki, Regi Kwok, Mark Law, Jordan Lagouf, Blake Lindsay, Harry Makahanga, Albert Mambo, Takajuzwa Matasasta, James McCready, Andrew B. Miller, Joshua Moonen, Daniel Nelson, Philip Partridge, Adrian Pickering, Cody Riley, Anthony Rena, Paul Roachford, Warwick Sadler, Ben Sinner, Hayden Stewart, Riley Sutter, Ryan Taran, PJ Van Gwyn, Chris Weir, Mark Wickman, and Kevin Wiley. Right, which takes us to the cast of the film. Right, so we got Alan Ritchson as the Staff Sergeant, aka 81. His brother is played by Jay Courtney. He's a Staff Sergeant, right? We've got Sergeant Major Sheridan, played by Dennis Quaid. There's First Sergeant Torres, played by Eze Morales. Right, we've got Stephen James as Staff Sergeant 7. We got Keenan Lonsdale is 16. Daniel Webber is 57. Blake Richardson is 15. Jake sorry people. Jake Patton is 109. Jacob Huyu is 72. Alex King is 44. Joshua Diaz is 96. James Beaufort is 23. Justin Wang is 111. Matt Testro is 38. Heather Burridge is 122. Victory Nadwaki as 135. Jake Ryan is Cadre Alpha. Christopher Kirby is Cadre Bravo. Joey Vieira is Cadre Charlie. Ditch Davy is Cadre Delta. And Patrick Hughes is Master Sergeant Hughes. All right, so that's basically our core members of staff. So the gist of the film, right? The humid tension of a grueling ranger selection process dissolves into pure survival horror. Recruit 81 carries the crushing weight of a dead brother into the Georgia wilderness, pushing his physical limits until the sky literally breaks open. This is not a standard training exercise. A towering mechanical nightmare from another world descends upon the exhausted candidates, turning a test of endurance into a frantic, low visibility hunt where the military hierarchy shatters against superior alien technology. Whoo, that, people, is War Machine. Yeah, right? Coming into this, I had no clue what this film was, right? Like, look, you knew Alan Richardson, he was going to be in this big new, Netflix vehicle. That's all I knew, right? And I'd seen some, like, image, right? So you go, okay, it's going to be some sort of army type of thing, which you think, right, makes sense when you consider, Richardson as Reacher, right? Which he plays Reacher well. You know what I mean? He's definitely living up to that role. More believable than Tom Cruise as Reacher, right? You know what I mean? So you're like, okay, yeah, him in a war film, I get that completely. You know what I mean? I understand what they're going to do here. So I think a lot of it, you're like, okay, yeah, it's believable. You buy into it that he can push himself. He can do these things. We open up in Candida. Candida. I believe that. I think that's it, right? And yeah, right. They both in the engineer squad in the army, and there's a breakdown. So Ritchson comes to help, and it opens up at that whole thing of two people pretending like, who fucked up? Who do I have to fuck up? And then everyone's like, oh, there's gonna be a fight. And then it's just like, come on, hey. And everyone's like, what? And it's like, oh God, right? Right? As soon as he starts walking, like, who fucked with this shit? Who? You're like, okay, it's gonna be someone he knows. Oh, like, that shit, right? It's straight obvious, and there's a lot of those things in this film, right? Where you're like, okay, well, that's kind of obvious. We know that's coming, but I think the camp side of things, right? The grit of it all. You do buy into that, right? I think they play that well. You get what, let's just call him 81 from now on. You get 81's kind of thing, although his knee got fucked, right? So the whole, I let my brother down kind of thing is just a bit like, I mean, come on, man. Right? There would be a difference if you're out of shape, right? You're out of shape and your brother's been saying for years, like, come on, man, you need to get into shape. And then something happens and you couldn't help, right? You couldn't help. And it's just like, if you were in better shape, you could have. Then you get the whole thing. Now, it's different if you say, right, I'm to blame. I know I'm not, right? I know I did everything I could. I did everything right. But there's that little part of me that says, you could have done more. That's a different thing to what we get here. So I see what they're doing. It is rather simplistic. You know what I mean? It's rather, which I think it makes sense when you think about Patrick Hughes' other films, right? He's behind Expendables 3, you know? He's behind The Hitman's Bodyguard and The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard, which is just kind of like, yo, the title just is, come on, man, we could do better with that. You feel me? He directed all of those films. I don't know about writing. Okay, so he didn't write The Bodyguard's Wife one. Or Expendables 3. Okay. So he probably didn't write and he didn't write the first Bodyguard film. He just directed those. Okay. Now, in direction style, you see that, right? If you've watched those previous films, you can see, okay, right, we have those techniques and, things he brings to the table and all of that, right? And that's fine because it looks okay. It's shot okay. There's certain things where you're just like, that angle's a bit, right? And you just think, this scene is a little bit, I don't know if we need it. I don't know if it helps, And as I say, some things are just a little predictable. But there is that energy here. right? There is that kind of thing that gets you like, okay, you know what I mean? It works as one of those films that you don't necessarily think too tough about, right? Just as a kind of an actioner to keep you going. It doesn't do a bad job on that front, right? That we do hit a lot of them stereotypes, right? Like the cocky guy is there. You know what I mean? They've got that guy locked. Um, you've got the people that are like, obviously all bravado, and then when it all goes down, they break instantly. That we got that kind of notion. I mean, when you consider this is the Rangers recruit camp, right? So you've got to be at peak to get into that camp, right? And only a small fraction are making it through that camp, right? So it's not just anyone can turn up. And when you see how, you know what I mean? Yeah. When you see our EDI recruitment camp, right? You are a little bit like, oh man, come on, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? You know? Because there's some people here, and you're just like, they're not, they wouldn't get on this camp, right? What are we doing? And who was it? It was 122, right? Our recruit 100. Now, acting wise, Heather Burridge is very good. Like, she's good in the role, but right, you do kind of go, what is she bringing? Like, how did she make it to Ranger Camp? You know what I'm saying? Right? And maybe if they kind of gave you a little bit more, you go, okay, we see why she's there. You know what I mean? But there is a lot of people in certain positions, and you're like, how would they get there? Right? So some of that isn't as believable, right? Along with some of the freak outs and everything. But I think the film just does enough, as I said, to keep you motivated to see how it all kind of works out. I do think the robot, right? Our I don't know, what would you call it, right? The I guess war machine. Just fuck it. Let's just say it. I think it's the war machine, right? It does, right? It does look a bit like I can't think of its name, right? The you remember RoboCop 2? Right, and he's going up against that big kind of like thing. They bring in that thing to kind of, it looks like that, right? It looks up like a souped up version of that robot for RoboCop 2. Which is a bit like, shit. what are we doing? You know what I mean? So yeah, there's certain things about the future, right, where you're just a bit like, I kind of feel it would be better than that, right? But, as I said, the film just does enough, I guess, to keep you wanting to see how it all goes, right? How it all goes. I think Ritchson, he's, yeah, I think he can fit into those action roles, right? This film further cements that kind of notion, right? But yeah, I don't really think this is something you're going to necessarily go back to time and time again. but it's okay, right? Like, if you liked any of those previous films, you know, like Hitman's Bodyguard and right, even things like the, you know, Jared Butler's Kandahar, right? If those kind of things are your vibe, right? The expendable films, then War Machine will definitely work for you. So yes, it is currently now on Netflix. So yeah, War Machine.